Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Primo Calcio. We're going to be doing a little bit of a update on the most recent big name transfers, and then go over Napoli, Juve, and Milan's mercato thus far briefly, and kind of see where they can go from here. I am Michael, as always, here with Anthony. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. What a wonderful time of year. I'm so excited. I love reading tabloids every day.
Yes. Very briefly, Club World Cup, Fluminense in the semis. That's the only team that I'm pulling for here. Everybody else is basically just money centric teams. Team building doesn't really
Yeah,
matter. So I'll say that quick aside here. So I'm really pulling for Fluminense. Otherwise, I could care
absolutely.
less about the Club World Cup. And if Fluminense gets knocked out, I will not watch the last few games. Okay, let's start with Napoli. Big news is that they just signed Noah Lang. Deal is, let me pull up here. It was about 28 mil. Yeah, 28 mil package with a sell-on clause. 2.8 mil net per season. I don't know what the sell-on clause is. Most of them are usually somewhere between about 10 and 20%. So I'm sure it's somewhere in between there. If anybody knows, drop it in the comments. But I'm sure it's somewhere between. First, let's what do you think of the deal, the player? Let's kind of deep dive a little bit. Our three main transfers. We'll deep dive a bit. What do you think about Lang?
I mean, I like Lang as a player. He's got the kind of edge I like to see. He's a gamer. He shows up to play, hustles. Like I said, he's got edge, and I mean, he's going to be an excellent piece for Conte. I'm curious to see how he lines the team up, what formation they run. But knowing Conte, I'm sure he'll mix it up throughout the season like he did last year, based on his personnel. He's quite pragmatic. So I like what they're doing, and Mana's signing people on good deals.
This is
That
a good
that team's got
signing.
their shit together. Yeah, that,
Yeah,
that
this is a good signing.
they got their shit together down there.
This was one of the signings that I know pretty well since Milan's been linked with this guy for a long, long time. So I've done, seen a lot of games, clips, yada yada. But he can play both sides. He's primarily a left winger, but he can play and has played both sides. He can slide to the middle and play attacking mid at times or second striker. So he's relatively versatile. Has good free kicks, both shooting and crossing free kicks. He's a bit of a shitbag type of player, and I actually say that as a compliment because he's more kind of like feisty. I think he's gonna fit Conte's style, so I like it. I think it's a really good signing. The finances are right, and I think he's gonna add some nice depth. I mean, having both Neres now and Lang and Politano, I think that they're really gonna have some good wide choices. Then maybe they can bring up like a youngster as well out there. So that I think is a really good piece. Lang, where he's a little bit weak, I guess physically, he's a relatively smaller guy, but he is quick. He is feisty. He's got good low center of gravity. I think
He fights hard for the ball, though. I mean, the whole physicality thing's overrated. If you're hungry for the ball in this game, you're gonna get it.
I mean he can bang in goals. He's had some pretty decent stats. Um, do you think he's going to start?
Yeah, I do. I think I think he's consistent, and I think there's I we will see who else they sign and what kind of shape he comes out in. But I think regardless of formation, he's going to run him. Yes.
So if they run like a 3-4-3, um, which they ran a bit, do you think, or you can run like a 4-2-3-1 or whatever, but if they run
Yeah,
three
they.
up
I don't think
top,
Napoli ran. Yeah, they started with the 3-4-3. You're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah. I think he can run as a winger. I think he can run as a wing back. He's Conte's run more attacking minded wing backs in his
yeah.
career. So I think that's kind of where I see him if they go with a 3-man back line. Otherwise, in a 4-3-3, it's a no brainer where he's at. It
Well,
gives Conte
it kind of
tactical
is though,
options.
because you got Neres too, and I mean, even though Lang, they both primarily play left wing. So would you say you stick Lang on the right wing, more as like a crossing piece,
Yeah,
or would
either
you
way.
switch Neres up? Wonder where you think he's gonna play there.
Either way, I think Lang's more versatile than Neres.
I would agree.
I think yeah. I think he's gonna. Conte wants tactical discipline. Neres struggled with that a little bit last year, so even when he was available, he came off the bench as a sub. I think more often than I would have liked to have seen that happen.
Yeah.
Politano, he likes his players that do the job. So they got a lot of matches next year, and I think they'll all get PT. I think he's got a good he'll have a good rotation. He knows what he's doing. It's odd talking about Napoli right now because their management's doing a good job, and they have a coach that I completely trust. So, it's for me analyzing them is kind of like, well, I trust Conte, so I'm sure he'll make the best choice when it comes to personnel decisions.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely for a winger. He's relatively prolific. He typically gets into the double digits. I mean, I know I guess you can say what you can say about the two leagues he's been in, the Belgian league and the Dutch league, of course. But I mean, still for a winger, he's usually, let's see, since 2020, 2021, he said what, 14 goals, 8 assists, and then 7 and 12, and then 8 and 5, 11 and 10. And then he's got a couple of goals for in the Champions League when they've been in it, a couple of assists too. So he puts up decent numbers. He plays a good amount of minutes. He's literally played all over the field, mainly winger, of course. But as I said, he could slide into that center forward, second striker, attacking mid role too. Yeah, he'll definitely be the one to switch. I think Neres is going to lock down his starting spot. And then the great thing is you got Politano who can come in whenever you need him to. So I think it's
Yeah.
a really, really good move. So what else does Napoli need? We were discussing this before. They've got Marianucci, who they brought in. Their Bukama is pretty much all set to be signed out, officially wrapped up, but looks like it should go down next few days here. Next one. They've got Hasa, who they brought in as like a youngster to bring up in the midfield. They're keeping Zombo, which was a pretty big.
I
I
got De Bruyne
guess
and
yeah, De Bruyne for there, and then Lang. Now I think they're only looking at striker. So really, I mean, they may get somebody else, like some other like smaller pieces to kind of bring up like maybe kids. What do you think of the Bukama signing? What do you think of the striker links? And then we'll kind of end our discussion now.
well, I'll do the striker links. We were talking before. I don't want to steal your thunder on Bukamak because I completely agree with you. As far as striker goes, you know, Lukaku played great last year. He's not going to be able to play all those games. They need to find an heir to his throne, and I think that the people I know they've been linked with Lucca. Did Bonnie sign with anybody yet? That Parma guy they've been looking at.
I don't believe he's officially signed.
They've been looking at Nunez and Xerxes. I prefer. I think Lucca is a good piece. He's unique. He can point man well. Conti likes, his strikers will play with the back to the goal. He'll do an excellent job, and he has one of the best in the business to learn from. So, because we have a heavy Italian bias, and we're not shy about it here, that would be that's who I want to see. As far as class goes, I don't think any of those guys are world beaters by any means, but they all have a little bit different game. Nunez is going to put in a hard shift. He's athletic. He's skilled. He just missed the last piece. He's not a natural goal scorer.
Yeah.
I don't think any of those guys really are. I mean, Bonnie's not a
No.
natural goal scorer. Lucas not a natural goal scorer. Xerxes not a natural goal scorer. I mean, everyone was,
No.
praising him a couple of years ago. He got 9 goals. So I mean, that's
Yeah,
that wasn't.
nobody was praising him for his natural goal scoring ability. So like he was being praised for his work off the ball, his playmaking ability, his hold up play, his vision, right, stuff like that. But then he could also bang in some goals, and that's kind of how most of the modern day people are. Think about who really is like that out and out, like they just bury goals. Lewandowski is
Exactly.
like the most class one, right? In Serie A, it's going to be Retegui. I wouldn't even put Keane up there, even though he's had a great season. Yet I wouldn't put him as like an out and out goal scorer. He does a lot of other stuff. But yeah, like Retegui's the only guy really in Serie A who just bags the goals. And Bonnie, by the way, did officially sign, so it's around 25 mil. He is with Inter. That is
Inter.
official.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, he's a goner. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good pickup for Inter, that's for sure. I think he's has a lot of potential there. That's a good price. But no, I mean, out of the three that are remaining, the three remaining links, I you know the two positions they need to fill are the two positions in modern football that don't have great players there anymore. They're few and far between. So yeah, I mean, getting players with certain characteristics is probably the way to go. And all three of them, all other characteristics are different. There's no question what they're going to do when they get out there. Nunez is going to work his ass off. He's going to bring athleticism. Xerxes is going to do link up play, and Luca's going to point man. I mean, that's just how it's going to
Yeah.
work. I think either way they're in good shape for
Totally agree.
depth for Lukaku.
Any one of those three, I really think is going to be fine and actually probably great under Conte. I think the best one overall, just for overall abilities, is probably Nunez. If they can get that final piece and he can become a little bit more of an actual goal scorer, he has the best overall ability just combining them. But I don't think you're going to go wrong with either signing. So I think Napoli is in good shape. As far as Bukema goes, I don't mind Bukema. I think he's a fine player. He did well for Bologna. But as we are pretty, Italian centric on this cast, I think it was a very missed opportunity. I don't think he's going to be. Is he really going to be an upgrade on Rachmani? I don't actually think so. I think he's going to be very, very similar. Rachmani's won now 2 Scudetti. So, I mean, like, say what you will about Rachmani maybe not being the best player. He still has won 2 Scudetti and he's been good enough to win that. And
People like
once was
shiny new things.
right. Once was under Conte, once was under Spalletti. Spalletti's not a great defensive coach. So he even won under that. And then so Buckham, I think, is going to be a similar level, maybe even less. And I think for me, it was a missed opportunity to go Italian there, where they really could have. I know they got Marinucci, but it's another spot. You could have went with like a Camuzzo or something like that. You could have done something
Yeah.
different. Conte's very good usually about make sure he picks up a couple promising Italian players and incorporates them. I think that was a very big missed opportunity, and Napoli really hasn't gotten any Italians this offseason besides Marinucci.
Marinucci, yeah, no, that's
Right,
it.
and
Yeah, I mean,
who knows if he's going to play or not.
yeah, I Bukema is not an upgrade on Rachmani. It's a very similar player, and he just wore different jerseys. So the criticism of his multitude of mistakes last year was, swept under the rug because not many people saw him and they saw when you have to live with the mistakes. They hurt a lot more than when it's somebody else's team, and we talk about that because we talk about each other's teams all the time. When I'm talking about Juve, you're talking about Milan. It gives us a little bit perspective or a bird's eye view on things. They're very, very similar players. I don't think if it's an upgrade, it's very minor, and it's a shame they didn't try something else, because I don't think you're going to buy great players anymore. You have to build them, and I think that there will be some more stable signings, to fill up the stables for the future. I think that's something that Mana and Conte have mentioned multiple times, that they want to build up the whole program, but this is not one of those links.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I'd agree. I mean, what you're getting is you're getting a similar player who's just younger, so maybe they're just trying to replace that exact profile. He's about 5 years younger, so
Yeah,
we'll see. I think it was a missed opportunity, but Napoli from just a pure team building aspect is gonna be fine.
yeah,
Let's move forward to Juventus. Big news was of the signing of Jonathan David, free transfer, which is pretty huge because his value is, I don't know, he would have never went for this, about 45 mil. However, that's his value on transfer market, but really, I mean, it probably was somewhere like 25 or 30. 6 mil salary, and they did have to pay his entourage something like 12 or so million over about 6 years. So not too much, about like 4 mil a year for 6 years. So really, I mean, pretty cheap transfer. Basically a transfer of 12 mil plus a decently sizable salary. What do you think of the signing?
I mean, it's a great deal. That's I'm a big fan of free transfers, always have been. As a fan of Juve in the early 2000s, we made some really really good moves. That's I think the Italian way is. That's how we survive, is by making shrewd signings like this. So it was not only did we get him for that, but we got the right deal for him. Is he the right player? I think he's fine. It's, if he's not, it's a minimal investment, and we can sell him and probably make a profit. So I think he's going to be a good fit for Tudor's system. I see him as a second striker, not an out and out striker. And I think if we do retain Kolomuani, and with him, Kolomuani and Yildiz, I think that's a really good trident, and it makes Tudor's very basic tactics seem a lot better when you got those three guys out there. I don't think any of them are world class, but they can all play well together. They all have skills on the ball, and David does work hard. He'll get back and play defense. One of the things I like about him is he's not riddled with meaningless tattoos.
one of the few, right? No,
he looks like an oddball because he just looks so normal. It's like,
yeah,
oh wow,
very very normal, humble, hardworking dude. Seriously,
yeah.
Which is honestly, like, if we guys talk about, you want to be different, you want to stand out these days, that's probably the way to stand out, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. It used to be the opposite back in the day. Now it's the exact opposite. So
everyone's the same piece of human graffiti.
yes, every single one. No, I think it's good. I mean, you can't lose. Like it's a free transfer. His value is not going to plummet to zero. So like let's say he's
Yeah,
bad and you offloaded him for 15 mil cuz he was awful. Okay. Like you actually
yeah,
still kind of made out with a couple million profit there. You paid his contract what 4 mil for the year one,
yeah.
and then you paid him 6. Okay, you paid 10, you made 5, and that's never gonna happen. Like it dropped from like 30, 40 to 15, whatever. Either way, it's a good deal objectively. You can't really lose on it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good, consistent, solid, hardworking signing. Should fit Tudor's style very, very well. And it's going to help. If you have him and Kolomwani, I think it's going to be an upgrade on the very underperforming Vlahovic, which is an interesting thing is where he'll go. We'll discuss Vlahovic soon. Any other big news for Juve right now that you've kind of heard over the past week?
The big one's been Sancho. Everyone's every time I
Yep.
open up my X feed, it's just I gotta see Sancho's face 352 times. So it's that's what's going on right now. I guess he's probably seen as a backup to Conceição. There, I think what the word on the street is they're trying to re-sign Conceição for a cheaper price, and if they don't, they're going to move for Sancho. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I prefer Conceição to Sancho. I'm not a fan of Sancho at all. I don't like his attitude. I don't think he fits the Juve DNA or
Yeah,
whatever
I would just
the
not go with
zombies
it.
say.
If that's your choice,
Yeah,
just keep Contes out. He's kind of buying in, right? He's starting to his potential's going up and up and up. And
yeah,
Sancho might has been just a total wavering guy. He'll have a hot year, an off year, hot year, off year. I wouldn't want to deal with that personally. So I would definitely keep Conceição over Sancho.
yeah, yeah. No doubt. And I mean, if it's a matter of 5 million, if that's what they're bickering about, I just don't believe that. I think that I think something else is going on with the Conceição thing. And quite frankly, I mean, it neither of those players, Conceição or Sancho, fit what Tudor wants to do. Tudor wants guys to his wingers to. He doesn't want wingers. He wants guys to play inside more. So he wants more of a second striker attacking midfielder style in that position behind the striker. And neither of them fit. So to me, you already have your starting three if you retain Colo, have David, and have Yildiz. That's your starting three. Then you got to run your backups. So I'm completely and
What do you
utterly
think? I
against.
know Colo can play out wide, but what do you think they're actually gonna run him in like with a 3-man front and run Colo out wide, or do you think that they're gonna do something like a four four
No, I
two
think
or
Colo's
something
playing up
different?
top. I think Colo's going to play up
And
top,
David's gonna go out wide.
yeah, or Yildiz will play behind both of them. Yildiz is absolutely best, and we
I would
saw this in the
like
Club
that.
World Cup playing behind the strikers. He
I
was
would be cool with
good.
like a 4-3-1-2. What would you?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's not going to run a 4-3-1-2. I think he's going to run his three-man back. I doesn't know anything else. He's going to run a 3-4-1-2. Is that what you said?
That's
Or you
fine.
said four
No, I
three
said
one two?
that 4-3.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That makes more sense because
yeah.
he's running 3-man.
That's how I
That's
see
fine.
it.
Totally fine. Plus you got Cambiaso out wide. They're starting to run. Who's the other guy they're running on the other
Costa.
side? Yeah, they're running Costa on the other side. Who I don't know. He's been okay so far for me, but
Yeah,
we'll
he's not
see.
that good, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what he
Yeah,
becomes.
he's horrible. He's a disaster in defense, but he's made a couple nice little moves for a young guy, but he hasn't played much, so
Yeah,
give
you
him
give him
some
time.
time, I guess. Yeah, we don't really have better options,
No,
so
give him some time, see what happens. But yeah, 3-4-1-2 I think is better because I think
yeah.
you get the most out of David and Colo. Whereas if I think if you go with a 3 kind of flat, I think you're actually gonna get all 3 of those. I think aren't gonna be benefit as much as they could. Right? I think Colo's gonna work better off a striker because he's more of like a
Yeah.
playmaking center striker. He's not an out and out striker. Right? He's not that kind of stay at home guy. Nor is David. So they both would benefit being next to somebody and having Yildiz being behind them. And that's definitely where I think Yildiz's evolution in his career is going, that attacking mid second striker type of role. So I would love to see a 3-4-1-2. So I hope for Juve they do that. Um, yeah, I mean Juve is strange. Like, but it's going to be a weird
Well,
season because they don't have that any of that like Italian DNA. But I think objectively the team looks like it's getting more compact right now. It seems like it's a little more concise. They've got an idea, and maybe they'll develop an identity.
well, Tudor has a very specific, simple system that he runs that, and that's not a bad thing. It's
Not at
it's
all.
it's good. Yeah, I mean, like we say all the time, there's very few good coaches. There's a ton of bad coaches, a ton of average coaches, very few good ones.
He's
He couldn't
fine.
nab one of the good ones.
Yeah.
So you might, yeah, it is what it is. No one else has it that much. Very few teams have it much better. I mean, you can't say Inter with Kivu is in a better spot right
No
now. I
way.
mean, they got a better
No.
roster, but as far as coach goes, we don't know the hell Kivu could do.
Right.
I mean, they didn't look so good at the Club World Cup. If that's that's a shitty.
I think there's just so much stuff going on at Inter. Honestly, I think that's all like a management, organization, a locker room drama. Because like Milan
Yeah,
has a good team on paper. I can't stand the modern Milan, right? It doesn't. Everybody knows my stance on that. However, objectively, it's not a terrible team. When you just look at individual names, and the reason why they're so bad is because there's just such a cancer at the top, and the atmosphere is terrible. I think that's what's happening at Inter right now. It's really the pot's boiling over. We'll see how they come out of it. I don't think. I mean, we'll see how Kivu deals with that. It's kind of a lot to ask a new coach to come into. So
yeah.
we'll see what happens. So
He's a sacrificial lamb. He's
yeah, if it goes bad, they have an easy excuse. If it goes well, it's like a
exactly.
genius move, right? So it's a win-win for
Yeah.
Inter.
Yeah, he's a sacrificial lamb for sure. I don't know. I think Inter will be fine. I think their roster is still solid. I think they're kind of retooling a little bit. That's good. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's smart. They're the most. I think that they've been to the most Champions League finals in the past 3 years. So I think they're doing a-okay. They just need to do a little bit better domestically for for my standard as far as how their roster looks. But yeah, I mean for us, I mean my concern, we need to. I think we don't know. We're Colo's not ours this year. We're trying to figure out if we're going to keep him or not. And Chelsea wants a whole bunch of money. So if we don't get him, we're kind of screwed because we don't really have
PSG or is it
any
Chelsea?
strong links. I'm sorry, it's PSG. Yeah, my bad.
I
So
gotcha.
they're trying to play hardball here, and it's I don't blame them. They have a player that wants to stay here, but they own his ass, and we want him, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have to hit the market if we don't get him. And like we just talked about with Napoli, there's not a lot of great options out there. I'm not Kolo Muani's biggest fan, but he's been serviceable, and he's athletic. He links up well with Yildiz already, so I mean he's here and he's working. So I think we should spend our money there, either on him or another striker. And I know a lot of people want to see us get a center back. I don't think we need it. We have 6 on the roster. Well, 6.5 really if you count Cabal. So we have 6.5 center backs on the roster already, and this is a perfect opportunity to get Sabonis some actual meaningful playing time
Yeah.
instead of playing freaking Kelly. I mean, it's personnel decisions that piss me off with Tudor rather than tactics, formation, all the mumbo jumbo and the hype. The Juveisms he prattles off in press conferences. It's the personnel decisions that bother me the most.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I think that Tudor is going to be okay, and he's going to probably hit like a vein of form, and then it's going to kind of be just okay again. That's just what you're going to expect. But this is a more compact team, or I think it's going to be more organized. I think they will be. I think they're going to get there.
We suffer the same problem that we suffered under Malta. In clutch moments, we buckle, and that's a personnel issue. That's not a coaching issue.
That's not
You can't just come
coaching.
in there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's like they're going to be organized and it's going to be fine. They know what they're going to do, what they probably can't do. However, crumbling it like late in the game is all because there's just not the class on this team. There's
Right.
almost zero Juve caliber players, maybe actually zero on this team.
Zero. No,
Truly.
I don't think a single player on this team would make any.
Maybe Tram could get there
spots
in like a year or two. Maybe.
Yeah, I have him on as a backup. Yeah, I have him. He'd be learning some life lessons right now. But yeah, no, not. I honestly not a single one of them. It's a shame, but it's
maybe
where we're at.
Yildiz
I mean,
could get there.
Junsley. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely. Yeah, Junsley did a ton of damage to this team. He saddled us
Big
with
time.
years with amortized debt that's going to take us years to clear up, and Comolli has a hell of a job ahead of him. So he hasn't done much so far. He's the acting sporting director because he couldn't find what he liked, I guess, and that's fine. Don't sign someone if they're not the right guy. Whatever, you're in charge. And the one signing he's made, he's done a good job. It's a good player on a good deal. So, hell.
All right, let's move through to Milan. A lot of stuff is actually happening with Milan right now. So the official signing of Samuele Ricci, we talked about that a little bit on the last cast. 22 mil straight up, and then about 3 mil of bonuses, so 25 total. Very, very good deal. The type of player he is, I think, is going to be absolutely fine for Allegri. He's going to be. I know that there's been some articles about like Allegri might want to use him differently as like a center mid, not a D mid. I think that's total BS. I think Allegri's going to use him as a stay-at-home D mid, regista. He's just going to be like a He's not necessarily going to be the biggest playmaking, deep line playmaker. He can sling out some long balls, but I think he's just going to keep things going, be positionally sound, shuffle things along, give an outlet to the defense. He does actually have a very good positional sense. I've seen him play for Torino, and he does cover the back line well. He's not very physical, even though his size is not bad at all. I think he's like 6'2". So I think if he worked on that a little bit, if he could actually add tackling to his game, he'd be excellent. I think that's actually the one area that holds him back. He shields the ball well. He kind of like he shepherds guys very well when they're coming into the attacking zone, and he's got to kind of move the play away. He's very good at that. His distribution's fine. He's composed. I just think if he was a tackler, that would be the next evolution for him. So I think he's gonna definitely play in that kind of deeper role, likely in a 3-man midfield with Modric, and if they land Yashari, who's the next signing that they're probably going to get in midfield, they're very close. That's probably going to be your starting 3. Who knows? Maybe they'll still run Loftus-Cheek or Fofana. I don't want to see any of those guys play. I think that at least
Allegri's definitely going to run a Fofana.
I don't know. We'll see what he does, but I mean, there's a lot more control if you sign both Ricci and you sign Yashari, and you're paying 25 35 mil for both these players. You're gonna probably start both of them. And Modric he'll probably get some minutes, but he's just gonna play the whole one. So that's probably where you're gonna get that trade off. Maybe if Fofana starts, Modric comes on. Maybe that's what you're gonna see.
Yeah.
That's probably very likely, but I think it's going to be like a 4-3-3, which I really don't want to see, but it's probably going to be that. I think he'll play the deep right line role. I think he's going to do quite well at it. He seems to have, from what I've seen, seems to kind of bought in pretty well so far. I think he's going to adapt just fine. But Milan fans, don't get married to any player. If he has a great season, year 1 or year 2, if his value either doubles or more, he will be sold. That's just how the game rolls with Milan these days. Happened with Tonali, happened with Reinders. So don't get linked up with any player here. The next signing is looking like Yashari, who is more talented technically, I think. He's very, very creative. So I think that's kind of going to be like the midfield creative outlet. I think he's actually best as a deep line playmaker creatively wise, but he can slide forward. So you're probably going to see him more in that center mid role, which I think is fine, but it might actually hinder him a little bit from what I think he's the best at. But that's what they're looking at for the midfield. I think if they land Yashari, they're not going to get anyone else. I personally would have loved them just offload the entire midfield, and then start new. And I like these 3 signings, but I feel like you need an actual ball winner because you still have none. Yashari's not a ball winner. He can be feisty. Ricci's not a ball winner. Modric isn't a ball winner. Those 3 are all smart, so I'm happy with that. Fofana's not a ball winner. He can be, like, if he's being aggressive, but positionally, he's very, very bad. Loftus-Cheek only tries in attack, never in defense. So you really have 0 ball winner in that entire mid. That's still a struggle, and they have not fixed this in years now.
Yeah, that's my concern with the team. I mean, you can't have midfielders, an entire roster midfielders that can't tackle, especially in the modern game where there's no good defenders. It's not like your defenders are Maldini and Nesta back there that can make up for it, So I just, I'd like to see some proper coverage for your defense. At least one of those. You need one guy to be able to do that job. But it doesn't look like it's going that way. So interesting for Allegri team. We'll see how. I mean, he's super pragmatic. He knows how to makes things work. So we'll see. I just
if Ricci can toughen up, if Ricci can toughen up
Yeah.
and actually tackle, then you never know. I don't know if he can do it because that's usually like a more innate ability. You just never know, right? It's typically not something that's all of a sudden you see somebody become an amazing tackler. But if he can become a little more of that, it will help a ton. I just think that they should have spent the 40 mil on Rovella. And I know that Lotito didn't really want to sell, but Lazio's kind of screw it now. Like financially, they are hurting bad. And I think that as a Milan fan, there's 2 players from Lazio you should have been going hard after because they fit your team. You're going to sell Theo Hernandez. You should probably go get Tavares if you want a wing back. He plays the same exact way. So you want like a bombing wing back, go ahead. You basically replace the same exact player. And then Rovella is, even though I like Ricci, he's a smooth operator. Rovella is more of that tackler who also can distribute. He's just a better tackler and fits that true D mid player better, and a tackler that we don't have. So I would be really baiting them with some serious money offers for those 2 players right now, because they need the money. They can't even make transfers. Sarri's been like linked with just leaving it right away because he just didn't know that they can't even make a single transfer right now. So that's the type of thing you should be doing. You should put pressure on these teams for those two players, especially when you have to replace those at Milan. So that's what I would have done. I like Ricci. Yashari is fine too, but I would have prioritized Ravella over both those players for me.
I mean, are you linked with any strikers or defenders or just?
Yeah, we'll go into that. It's a lot of mess. So that's midfield. Now you go to defense. So the two names for defense, it's seemingly like Allegri wants to go Italian with this one. I don't know if it's going to happen, but the big names are Leone and now Camuzzo. Because if Leone doesn't go through, because now Inter's tossed their name of the hat, then the idea is Camuzzo. I like both. I'm happy with both. I think it would be very unique for Milan to actually get a young Italian player who's not as proven as Ricci. Ricci's been playing for a few years now, and it's a really good deal for Ricci, whereas Leone and Camuzzo would not be great deals. They'd be getting him for 30, 35 plus mil, and they're still bets, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'd be happy for them to do both operations, but it's very rare for Milan to do an operation like that, especially given the nationality. So those are the links for defense for Milan. Right back, they're thinking of Dodo, and I think it's a terrible choice if they're going with a 4-man back line, and I think it's an amazing choice if you're going with a 3-man back line, because Dodo's a great wing back. He's not a great defender. His size is terrible. He is feisty too, but in a 4-man back line, that scares me terribly. I think it's just bad. They're linked with De Kuiper for left back, and then one other that I can't remember the name, but I do not like any of their links. I think Pubil, who is one of the Spanish players I think with their right back, is probably the most solid actual right backs because he can play a little bit of defense, has some good size on him. He doesn't just bomb forward the whole time, but he is more attacking. I don't know, man. I like Dodo. I actually think he's a really good player. I just think that if you're gonna run a 4-man, which is looking like, I don't love him in that setup.
Well, who are your strikers still? You got because that determines, I think, what he'll do with the back line.
Strikers, you've got Jimenez. We'll talk about Camarda in a second, and then really that's it. And because there's now a bunch of links, right? So we'll talk. That's really where we'll end this is with all the links for striker. But it depends on who
who's
you
your
get.
trident? Who's your trident? Leao,
Leao, Pulisic, yeah, and then striker X at this point. I mean, you have Jimenez, but for some reason it seems like, and I'll tell you what I would have done, but it seems like we're definitely gonna get a striker, and they've budgeted somewhere between 35 and 50 mil for a striker. That's what they've said. I don't know if it's actually true, but that's what they've said.
Okay, and then you guys are linked with the same players everybody else is?
Not necessarily. So I mean, of course, there's the guy from Leverkusen, Victor Boniface, and then there's Lucca, of course, but now Retegui has been linked as well. So those are your main three options that have been linked.
I mean, Retegui with Leao and Pulisic would be excellent.
Retegui's by far
Especially
the best choice. It's not even close.
That's what you need. Yeah.
However, I would actually sell Jimenez. I know that maybe that's not, he didn't give him a chance. I don't care. If he succeeds elsewhere, great, good for you. I don't mind Jimenez at all. But I would sell him and use that money to go get Keane, and I would go get Lucca.
Yes.
I would just go get the core, because I don't think that. I mean, you have a different look too. Keane to me is the best fit because he offers athleticism, pace. He can actually score on his own. Retegui cannot score on his own. He needs help, right? So if Leao's having an off game, is not trying, Keane can still pull that at work. You're not going to get that from Retegui. You're not going to get that from Lucca. You're not going to get that from Jimenez. All those strikers need help. The one striker that doesn't need help or does not need help is Keane. For me, I would go Keane for sure, 100%. He's got a release clause for 2 weeks, I believe, for 52 mil. If that's your budget, you can't quite reach it. Go sell Jimenez. Fine, get rid of him. Keep Camarda, right? If you that's all you really need, honestly. But if you want to bring in somebody else, go get Lucca. That you said you already had, how many million, 35 to 50 million for your budget, anyways. Well, you can make that work now. So those are your three. And then you actually, if you want to do actually Italianize, which I think is still a bunch of BS, but we'll see. And there you go. That's the way that you actually Italianize, with good quality, players, not with just a random like a Terciano signing, which is what we used to do. Actually, go get the good ones. Go get Chiesa. Get these kind of cheaper players that would actually help out. That's what I would do personally for the attack.
Oh, I mean, obviously, I love that. You mentioned two players that I wish Juve never got rid of, so that's a little thorn in the side there. But no, I think you need someone with work rate up top. And Jimenez does have work rate. He kind of stunk it up a little bit last year. He had his moments, but he didn't really deliver.
He
Maybe
just
the ship
needs
was too
service,
heavy.
though.
I don't know. He does. Yeah, and he should get it. Just Leao, doesn't. Sometimes he plays, sometimes he doesn't. I think Leao will be less pissed off with Allegri though. Allegri runs, a very he's got a very loose ship that he runs. He lets
Allegri's a good
players do
coach,
their
man.
thing.
Players like him.
He is. Yeah, players like him because he doesn't bury them when they do something outside of the field. It's, hey, show up. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna run you to the ground. Game time, you do your job, or someone else will play. That kind of thing. He doesn't bust. He doesn't crack skulls.
Yeah, I
So
think
I think Leao is going to perform next year.
I agree. I think that was going to perform. You might see one of his better seasons. Honestly, maybe you might see one of his best. He's at the age where he kind of either has to carry the torch or not.
He's not going to carry the torch, but he's going to play. He's going to play excellently. I think Pulisic is going to have a great season,
quality wise. But I mean, if they do need somebody behind them, right? They need somebody who can kind of take over. And I think that I don't know what's going to happen with Salamakers, but I would definitely keep Salamakers.
Oh,
and
man.
I would definitely
Yeah,
sign
I
Chiesa.
forgot. Yeah, Salamakers is awesome.
If you go into the season and your four wingers are Leao, Pulisic, Chiesa, and Salamakers, that's top class, no matter how you look at it.
Just run one center back. Who cares?
Yeah, you don't even need to play defense anymore.
No,
But
you don't.
That's
No one can.
That's what I hope they do. The strongest link with Chiesa still is Milan, especially after the Lang signing for Napoli. So that's really his only chance to go back to Serie A right now. So I think that, and he's pushing for it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Milan. I don't love their side back links. There's a couple of good ones in there. Dodo's gonna be 25 million. I think if you're really running a four-man back line, it's not really gonna be very solid defensively. So, yeah, I don't know. I really wish Milan would have done a couple of different things. I think at the end of it all, we can see what they did and kind of compare it to what I would have done. Teo's gone. That's official. A lot of moves being made. We'll have an update in a week. The last thing I'll talk about is the Camarda sale. So he's out. He went to Lecce, and he went for 3 million option to buy. So he's a loan with option to buy for 3 mil. Buyback clause of 4 mil, which is by far the most important thing in there. So objectively, this should be fine because 4 mil is nothing. And if he has even a good season, Milan should buy him back. My worry is I don't know how long the buyback is good for. And let's say he has a decent season, scores like 8 goals, looks okay, right? Look like does some stuff, but starting to get there, but not quite there. Milan says I don't really need him. And then a team like, I don't know, Bologna, Atalanta, whatever, buys him the year afterwards. He starts to explode because Milan didn't want to spend a cheap 4 mil on the guy or put any faith into him, like they have not put any faith already into him. And he just now he loses the player forever, and maybe he ends up at like Inter or rival. That's just what I see happening here. And honestly, as long as he succeeds, I'm okay with that. Milan is they won't come back as far as I'm concerned with this management, so we'll see.
I mean, I'm all for Italian players leaving the big clubs because the big clubs have no intention of playing them. So it's for the development for the national team, him to get actual playing time. If he stays at Milan. So last year you didn't have a single damn striker on the roster that was arguably that much better. Truly, no. I mean, you didn't have some like world class, amazing striker that's starting,
absolutely
and they couldn't get playing time. I mean, they were playing with Jovic over him. They wouldn't even give the kid a chance. So just get rid of him. Let him go play somewhere. Let him go develop, build his confidence up, and let him get on the national team and let him start smoking. Because if he stays at Milan this year, he's not going to touch the field more than a few minutes.
I totally agree.
That's the shame of it.
It's just like still, no matter what, I still would love to see some type of a change actually happen. I know it's not coming. I know, but as a Juve fan for you and as a Milan fan for me, you just always hope that your team does the right thing for once. And they just never do.
Ever.
It's like last year, as you said, they had a dry loan for Abraham, so he's never staying, right? And it's really pointless. They had Jovic, who you're not keeping. They offloaded Morata, so you had nobody. And then you finally brought in Jimenez, who like all of a sudden the coach didn't want to play at all. Camarda's sitting there waiting. The only game he even got like 30 minutes. He actually played well. He had a couple opportunities and actually created some havoc. The other games, he got crap 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they never played Liberali either. Who Rangers, when he needs a sub, there's your guy. They have mismanaged their youth so bad, and I know Liberale is not signing a new deal, so that's another massive one for Milan. Keep an eye out for Liberale. He's gonna be a good player, and I hope he goes somewhere good. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just bummed out about it from a Milan fan point of view, but for an like actual Italian national team perspective, no, he should leave. Everybody should leave Milan if you're Italian. Never come here because
Agree.
right now you're just screwed. Ricci has the benefit of being our token Italian for the time being to appease the fans for Redbird. But I think you're probably gonna get him and maybe one more, and that's it. That's the
Yeah,
Italianization. You're gonna get 2 Italians at Milan. That's it.
yeah,
That's the whole
I feel the same
Italianization.
way with Juve, man. I mean, Savona's not going to get much playing time this year because I mean, clearly in the Club World Cup, when what's his name had a choice to play Savona or Kelly, he chose freaking Lloyd Kelly, who was their worst defender in the entire tournament. But he played him over our best defender up until that point, which
Yeah.
was Savona. So it just there's I don't know. We talked about it a million times. There's a self-loathing culture, and they just want to just shit on their own. So let them go somewhere where they're going to play. I'm all for it. If let Regani go, let Savona go, let Camarda go, let Liberali go, let them go places they're going to play. Let Ruggieri go to Atletico. Let's sell them all.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
And
it's
I'm not
it's
being
the national
facetious. I really
team.
mean that.
Seriously, the national team is going to succeed or get better at least because of that. I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll see, but
Well, it'll get marginally better. It won't be where
they still need a good
they
coach.
should be home playing for our best clubs. They should be our best players should be playing for our best clubs. That's final. But if they're not going to play, it's certainly better that they go abroad and actually get playing time.
No,
That's definitely better than riding the
there's a
bench.
problem for sure, and we do talk about it a ton. So I'm sure all of our listeners know exactly where we're going with it. The system's got to change. At some point, we'll do like a 3 or 4 or 5 steps that should actually change. But right now, yes, for himself, for the national team, Camarda should leave, and he did.
Yep, good. I mean, it sucks, but it's good for him,
Yes,
and
it
it's good
is
for the
good for
national team.
him individually, and honestly, I'm happy about that because like Milan is no longer Milan, right? It's so
Yeah,
I just want to
and it's
call it
like
this whole
same with
like
you, guys.
Italianization thing because really, it's so easy to Italianize your squad right now, right? You should have got Leone back when he was cheap. Now you just let it sit there and linger. If you really wanted the guy, go sign him initially for 10 mil, 15 mil. Now you're gonna pay 35. Yeah, right. So that's one step you could have done that, right? Um, Two,
Well, and who are they going to get instead? They're going to hire some average mercenary for double the cost that they could have got Leone for. It's the same shit. We said the same shit.
they're just
Oh,
waiting.
it's going to be Ital Juve. With you're going to see every single year. It's the same rhetoric, and then the result is completely opposite because they much rather spend 140 million on Coop Miners, on Douglas Luiz, on Nico Gonzalez than sign any Italian players. And those three players, mega flops, totally predictable, and they're already looking to sell all three of those players this year.
Yep.
And they couldn't have brought in a single. They couldn't have spent 140 million on a few Italians, a portion of that.
That's what I'm saying.
No
Though.
way, no way,
That's what I'm
Jose.
calling out. Like there's a whole thing about Tar coming in, but him actually, but Redbird telling him to Italian as a squad. You go
He's not going to
get
do
the
that.
defender, like I was saying. You go get Bertola for free. So there you go. You just got 2 Italian center backs with a lot of promise. So you're not just getting junk players. You're actually getting promising ones. You go and sign Rovella and Ricci if you want that. Of course, I would have just brought in Tonelli and skipped those two, but you go buy those two for your midfield. There you go. There's your midfield duo. Then you go sign Chiesa for basically cheap. That's a very undercut cost. And you go get Moise Kean. You sell Jimenez. It's not that hard. You don't spend that much money, but they will never do it. I really think they're going to buy 2 players, and it's going to be you either get the striker or you'll get the defender, and then you get Ricci. That's it. That's what you're
Yeah,
going to
but
see on the
once
lineup.
again, you're thinking along the lines of building a team, building a locker room, building a culture. They don't care about that. It's all about keeping the shareholders happy and showing that profit every year.
Yeah.
That's what our clubs care about first and foremost. The other aspect of it that I just mentioned is secondary.
Oh no, I 100% agree with this. That's why I'm saying it's easy. They just didn't do it. That's why I'm kind of calling this out. It's BS, as we thought. They're not going to Italianize. They're going to just build whatever piece they think are going to be good deals. Which honestly, the Ricci one's a great deal because his value can skyrocket and he can be
Yeah, that's a
sold.
good signing.
It's how it goes. This is the world we live in right now, and until something changes, and these clubs don't keep making enough profits, then they're going to be here forever. Redbird's never going to
It
leave.
doesn't.
They posted a profit last year with all this junk, with finishing 8th place.
I believe it was Marquisio. Did you see Marquisio's what he said?
No.
He said exactly what we said in our last podcast. He said they need to incentivize Italian teams to play their own players
Big time.
because, yeah. He said basically the same thing we always say. I'll look up the quote real quick. But yeah,
The American
it's
hedge fund owners they won't care. So and that's how they run. So if you incentivize them, they'll build a team full of Italians. They don't care. They just want to be, hey, I'm gonna tax break and I can make money off it. Sounds great. So yes, you need to incentivize them, and then your national team will start to after time. It's gonna take a few years. Will be good again, but you gotta commit. You can't. This half-ass stuff will never work.
they're definitely not going to do any of the things that he just said. Okay, here it is. It says hold on, I'm pulling up the Marquisio thing. It never gets better, Mike. It always once you go into this globalization, this money mode, you're never getting it back.
No, the
It's
product
just
is
yeah.
eternally worse. Just is.
Well, you said it yourself. Product. Juventus is literally wearing barcodes next year.
Yeah,
And
if you couldn't be any
it's
more of a number, here you go.
it's so
Enjoy.
perfect. Yeah, he goes, okay, so I run now. I now this is Marquise. I now run an agency as a football agent, and the data we have on the use of Italian players is truly alarming. 2 or 3 years ago, the Primavera was won by a team that didn't have a single Italian player on the pitch, and only 2% of those non-European youngsters went on to play professionally. The rules state that foreign players can arrive after the under 16 level. From that point onwards, you see very few Italian or even European players in the youth teams. What could be done? There should be a rule that youth teams can only field a maximum of 3 non-European players, rising to possibly 6 or 8 in senior teams. There's a significant exploitation of teenagers from poorer parts of the world. This is a quote from Marquisio. So he's basically says all the things we say. It's a damn shame. That's all I know. And yeah, unfortunately, once you get to that layer, it's all downhill from there. You just start slipping. So we'll see. Well, we'll analyze this. Try to analyze things as objectively as possible as far as transfer goes. So, yeah, tactically he's a good fit. Tactically he'll do this and that. But you really don't know. I mean, there was some good rosters last year that didn't perform because when you just slap a bunch of mercenaries on the field, you're just kind of rolling the dice anyways.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because it's definitely like most teams are now built like this, especially in the Italian league and in the EPL. But
Well, I in the EPL though, and they're not, like I think I said earlier, Inter's been there twice out of the last 3 years. So they're actually technically the past few years the most successful as far as Champions League goes. And then we've had Fiorentina's been in a few finals. Atalanta won it was it the year before, last year, whatever. You know what I mean? So we're not doing bad, but we don't spend the money to have these mercenary teams. Like even PSG's team they have now, even though they did take a step back, got rid of some of their more lavish names and kind of retreated a little bit and kind of restructured.
yeah,
They spent a lot of money. That team's I forget what the number was. It's astronomical number though. Yeah, they spent a lot of money on that team. We can't do that. So when you're playing with half the money, you're not going to be able to play. I'm going to buy the biggest. I'm going to buy Park Place and Boardwalk. You don't get to do that. So we have to find our own way to do things. And if we just try to copy them but do a shittier version of it,
it's not
this
going to
is
work.
going to be
No,
the
it's
outcome.
just not going to work.
Yeah.
If you're going to give it like you're gonna a B plus version of Man City or B plus version of PSG, you're gonna finish that way, right? So you have to kind of do it your own way. You have to build from within. You have to take, as we've said before, and I very very much agree with. And you have to build the Barcelona way. You build your youth academy with people from your actual nation, so they have a style of play. They all play the same too. Like when Barcelona's youth academy plays, they learn tiki taka, right? And then when they go to play Barcelona, they play tiki taka. They learn that style. They integrate in the team in 2 seconds because that's what they learned growing up. You buy in as
There's
a
no
kid.
confusion,
You can.
baby.
There's no confusion. That team knows what they're gonna do. If I had at a kid and I was Spanish, I would try my hardest to get them into the Barcelona academy. That's just what you do. They're run so well. And I just want one of our freaking teams to do that. It doesn't even need to be both. But for the good of the Italian youth, one team doing that will go a long, long. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And in my opinion, and totally biased, not trying to hide it, I think that should be Juve. We've always been that team, and we're just not that team anymore. And that's the real slap in the face when I turn on these games and watch a bunch of random players put on a Juventus jersey. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, hey, we had to
No
give
clue.
it our soapbox with the end. I think that
Absolutely,
it's going to be
baby.
a super interesting season for sure. We'll see what the Mercato does. We'll kind of give some updates in about a week. A lot has happened this week. Finally, it's been probably one of the biggest weeks that we've had so far. So we'll be back with more. As always, thank you for joining. Please like and subscribe, and Forza Calcio. Go.